Let me just say that a few days ago, I received an outstanding piece of writing, a document titled Haddish Midat Harnat, The New Birth of Freedom, written by Eritrean youth of the generation. It was prepared under the auspices of the Department of Information and Education. بخفلي حاولتان تمرتن على ملخاوي منقصاص منسيات إيرتا التدالوي. Prepared by the Department of Education and Information of the, what is the English of your name? You are Eritrean Youth Global Movement. When I received this, whatever thought I had of preparing a formal lecture was abandoned, and I remember emailing Bereket, who was the person whose signature for the covering letter. I am going to make this a centerpiece of my keynote address. I don't have the time to go through it, but I recommend everybody to read this. And I suppose, I assume that it's going to be distributed widely, and it should be. It's an outstanding piece of document, even academically, from the point of view of writing, clarity, depth of research, and above all, the analysis and final recommendation in this. All in all, including the appendices, it is a 43-page document. So I'll refer to some of it in highlighting what I consider to be the issues that I want to focus upon today. Again, I would like to mention some individuals whom I consider to be outstanding public servants who've done their level best, expose the oppression and tyranny of the current government, and who have tried also to help some of the victims of that oppression, the refugees throughout the world. I know that in mentioning some people, you actually run the risk of offending others, because there are scores of Eritreans who've been doing fine work in this respect. But I cannot help mentioning at least 4 people whom I consider to be outstanding. First among those is a woman by the name of Elsa Chum, who lives in England, in London. I met Elsa several times. I last met her in April when I was going by London, my way to Tanzania. She had managed to collect all the names of the 400, most of the names of the 400 people who drowned in the Mediterranean. I asked her, how did you manage to get that? And she smiled secretly and said, research, Professor, research. How can you say that? How can you answer that when somebody tells you, research, Professor? It's a result of her extensive networking, dedication, and single-mindedness. She is one of a kind. Secondly, a person whom Eritreans have renamed Perhas. Her full name is Trisha Redeker Hepner. Perhaps will be speaking to you today. So one of the reasons why I decided not to go into details about the issues, but just highlight some of them, was the fact that Terhas is going to give you a narrative of some of the refugee issues. She's given interviews that I follow all the time, written. I cite her in my book, Wounded Nation, one of her articles. She's an outstanding scholar, promising young scholar. By the way, you should rewrite her title, not as assistant, but associate professor. She's just been lately is now joined the rank of tenured professors, which becomes a ristee. Thirdly, John Stoffer. Where's John?
Right there.
Here.
Oh. I'm sure some of you have read some of the communications he's been doing about Eritrean misfortune, unfortunate Eritreans in the Israeli Sinai area, how he and others have managed to identify people to help Egyptians who decided to help these people. So, indeed, there's a journey of hope there, a journey of hope. When people living in the desert, hopeless, waiting any time to be mistreated, either killed or raped, find someone who takes care of them, that is indeed a wonderful thing to behold. And I suspect that John has used his considerable network connections to make effective change in that respect. I think he is lucky. I am sure your friends in Habte, which is where you were as a Peace Corps volunteer, will be happy to hear this when they read, if they read it. Fourth, last but not least, is a man by the name Abba Toldebrhan Sagai. I don't know how many of you have heard of him. He's a Catholic priest, a Capuchin priest, who even before some of us realized that the PFDJ was heading the wrong way, identified some signs of disaster, and continually wrote letters to Hadas Eritrea, letters to some of the officials. He's just published a book called Diggi Gufa'at, Defense of the Oppressed. It's a book in Tigrinya with English and Italian translations in it. It's worth getting. It's very rare. I don't think you can get it here in this country. In the book, I noticed a letter that he wrote me when I was chairman of the Constitution of Eritrea. A letter that he wrote me pointing out some defects in the Constitution. Detailed commentary. And I respond to him, thanking him, and telling him that his proposals will be presented to the Commission, which it was. I don't know how much of his recommendations were adopted, but that's another story. This man, who is now a refugee living in Milano, Italy, has been hounded by Isaias Afwerki's attack dogs in Italy. Isn't that a story some of us are familiar with? But he stood up, stood his ground, and is continuing to fight. The book is a testament to his courage, to his learning. He's a very learned man. The Cappuccini order of the Catholic religion is one of my favorites because some of them had been my teachers earlier. And there's a tradition there of passion for liberty, for freedom, which I see expressed in Abba Toldebrhan's writings. In summary, then, let me point to 4 questions concerning Eritrea's tragic predicament, which I think ought to be highlighted.